Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF-Accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Well, here we are. I'm excited to be kicking off the first episode of the Craft of Coaching podcast. And today's episode is really going to be super beginner. It's all about who is that person who's been considering how to become a life coach, and specifically, what are the pathways to certification as you're becoming a life coach. The coaching industry has changed a lot since our organization first started back in 2014, with coaching gaining so much more acceptance and recognition, and particularly seeing that there is an increase in the need for coaching skills within corporate and organizational development. So what are the pathways to becoming a coach, especially a certified coach? In this episode, I'm going to lay out for you what is meant by accredited training programs, how to differentiate between legitimate and non-legitimate programs, and how to approach becoming a coach, how to actually make that transition. I know that for many coaches, there's this feeling of, I know I need training, but I'm just not sure how to pick the right program. And there are a lot of programs out there. And unfortunately, many of them are very slick with how they are marketing. And I'll tell you some things to watch out for. Before I get into all that, I just want to make sure that I say that there are actually a lot of free resources that we offer that you can access right now here today. If you head over to leadershipcoachtraining.com, if you're not already a subscriber, become a subscriber and you will get access to our free coach resource library. You'll get access to videos. You'll get access to workbooks. They are all resources that have been informed by my experience as a coach. Kate, I have been a coach since 2006, and the needs that people have communicated to us and the things that they really are wanting and needing as they start to think about becoming a coach. So, first, let's start with credentialing. There are these questions about whether or not to become ICF-Accredited. And the ICF, or International Coaching Federation, offers 3 different levels of accreditation. They have an ACC if you attend a level 1 program, a PCC if you attend a level 2 program, and an MCC if you attend a level 3 program. So there are these different levels of credentialing, and they tie to the level of training and experience that you have as a coach. I will say that, especially to begin with, you do not actually have to be credentialed in order to be a coach. There is currently no governing body of life coaching the way that there is for the practice of therapy. But the most recognized pathway to being a credentialed coach is to become ICF credentialed, meaning that you attend an International Coaching Federation accredited training program that is either a level 1, level 2, or level 3 program. This is important to look for because there are some people in the marketplace that are really twisting this, counting on you not knowing the difference. So, based on the type of training program that you attend, you will accrue training hours towards your coaching credential. If you attend a level 1 program like our CLCC program, that is the most common type of program that coaches attend before becoming coaches, you will be able to apply for your ACC credential with the ICF as soon as you graduate and fulfill all the requirements. So if you attend a level 2 program, you'll be able to, upon graduation and fulfilling requirements, apply for a PCC credential with the ICF. And if you attend a level 3 program, you'll be able to apply for an MCC credential with the ICF. Now, the first question that many people have once they learn about these different credentials is, which one do I need? And often that really means which one is going to be setting me up for success, which one of these is going to get me the most clients. My answer, and this is based on me being a coach since 2006 and watching hundreds of our graduates go on to start a private coaching practice or bring their coaching skills into the workplace, is this. If you attend a level 1 training program and get your ACC credential, that's really all that you need. Now, your clients are most likely going to ask if you received coach training, or you'll put that on your website saying where you were trained. But when clients ask this question, they're not typically asking which type of credential you have at the granular level of, do you have an ACC, PCC, or MCC? Those different credentials reflect how many hours you spent in training and how many coaching hours you've accrued. They don't necessarily reflect that you got better training. We could compare this to a therapist who has a therapy practice. Their therapy clients might want to know, hey, am I working with a licensed therapist? But those clients are less likely to dig into whether or not that therapist got their training from a state school or from an Ivy League school. And of course, we've all met people who went to state schools who were far more qualified than somebody who went to a super fancy school. A lot depends on the person practicing the craft more than anything. Since we're on the topic of training and credentialing, I'll also point out that there is a difference between a training program and a credential. There is some overlap and commonality between therapy and coaching here. All therapists, for instance, go through training when they get their degree, that state school, that Ivy League school, like I just mentioned. After getting a degree, therapists apply to become licensed therapists through the Board of Behavioral Science. Coaches follow a similar pathway. You receive coach training from the coaching school of your choice, and after completing coach training, you apply for your coaching credential, that ACC, PCC, or MCC that I mentioned, with the International Coaching Federation. And as I said, most coaches complete a level 1 training program and get their ACC, and that is totally fine and acceptable for working with clients or adding your certification to your skill set when you're working within corporate and you want to demonstrate that you have coaching skills to augment your people and performance management. But here's the thing to look out for. You want to look out for, especially as a new coach, the rise of, quote, coach training programs that are, quote, accredited, and they're using these words like accredited on their sales pages, but they are not actually a level 1 or higher program. What training programs that do this are doing, unfortunately, is they are not formally accredited, but they will go ahead and use that word on the basis of having some International Coaching Federation or ICF approved CEUs, continuing education units. CEUs or continuing education units are not the same thing as having a fully accredited program. They are actually only intended for coaches who are renewing their existing ICF credentials, and that's why they're called continuing education units. It's for continuing education. Our CLCC program is fully ICF accredited at a level 1 status. And that means that our graduates can immediately apply for their ACC credential with the ICF upon graduation. That is not the case with these quote-unquote training programs that are calling themselves accredited on the basis of some CEUs. Someone who only has continuing education credits cannot graduate from a quote-unquote training program like that and then apply for their ACC with the ICF. The other thing to keep an eye out for is that there are, again, unfortunately, programs that will get an ICF level 1 or higher accreditation, and then they put that logo on their website and they sell potential coaches in training on how their program is ICF accredited. So they'll get their level 1 accreditation and they'll put that on the website. They'll say, guess what? We're level 1 accredited. But then only after you as the new beginner coach signs up for their program, do you find out that in fact, they offer 2 tiers of training. One tier is a basic tier of training that is not accredited, and that's what they sold you on, even though they put that level 1 all over their website. And only if you shell out for the much more expensive tier of training do you get the actual level 1 accredited training. So one way to spot an organization that is doing that is if they're saying that you can become a credentialed coach in a weekend. You can't do that with a level 1 or higher program. Actual accreditation with the ICF has certain requirements, a minimum number of training hours, a minimum number of times that the facilitators are responsible for giving feedback on your coaching, things like that, things that you cannot possibly do in one weekend. Some other things I've seen organizations do is charge you a low rate for training, but then you finish your training and everything, and when you want your training certificate that verifies that you completed all the requirements, now they're saying, well, that's an extra many thousands of dollars. Not good. It should go without saying, but just so I'm very clear, the Certified Life Coach Credential Program, or CLCC program, of which I am the head of the training, we do not do any of those things. You are getting a level 1 accredited training with us. We are not going to charge you for one tier of training and then the real level 1 training is another. No. And also, we're not going to do things like hold you hostage over your graduate certificate until you pay thousands of dollars. We don't roll like that. Your certification is included. Now let's switch a little bit after we've talked about how to recognize appropriately credentialed programs. Let's talk about training content. If you're becoming a coach or interested in becoming a coach, what are some things that you should look for in a training program? Well, first and foremost, I would say look for a training program that is experiential, where you are actually going to get personal feedback on your coaching. This is another reason why you don't want to just go with a random training program. Level 1 or higher accredited programs actually have a minimum required number of times that we have to give students in the program feedback on their coaching, verbal and written. So again, you don't want to come out of coaching training not having truly been trained and been given articulated feedback on your coaching. In our CLCC program, we specifically give our trainees experience coaching in small sessions to give spot feedback. We give people experience in peer-to-peer swaps. Sometimes our facilitators are giving and receiving coaching in order to demonstrate a concept. Sometimes we're putting ourselves in the hot seat and asking the students to watch us coach and identify the coaching skills observed. And just from that description alone, by the way, another thing to look at for in a training program is you want something experiential, not a PowerPoint. Who wants to sit in front of a bunch of PowerPoints for hours? Not me. So you really want to look for different ways to coach: small sessions, longer sessions, sessions within small groups, sessions where you get to sit back and observe or go big picture. There are a lot of ways to learn the skill set, and you want a diverse experience. Second, look for training programs where the cohorts are smaller and more personalized. This is similar to my first point, but a little bit different. Community is important. Most of our CLCC graduates have actually ended up being friends long after their cohort ends. When there's a program where the participants kind of drop in for some classes and then skip out on others, you don't really get to know everyone. When there's a tight-knit group of coaches who are working together, then you get that longevity and that trust. And we've seen our graduates go on to do a lot of those things even after graduation, like co-host podcasts or run retreats together. And when you're building a coaching business, if you decide to go down that path of a private coaching practice, those people you get to know in your cohort will be the people who give you feedback on your sales pages, or maybe even provide you with referrals. So maybe someone in your CLCC cohort became a career coach while another becomes a health coach. And so if you're a graduate of CLCC and you're a career coach and you meet someone who really wants to meet a health coach, when you've gotten to know the other people in your program, you can easily and confidently say, well, I'm a career coach. I don't deal with health, but I know a health coach who's amazing. I'm happy to refer you. And of course, the referrals will come your way as well. Third, I would recommend that you join a program where your own personal growth is part of your learning process. Because sure, lots of programs out there can just slap together a training program and show you those PowerPoint slides and explain to you, hey, look at the screen, stare at your screen, here's what coaching competencies are, here's how to coach according to this or that competency. In our CLCC program, we do not do that. We don't do PowerPoint. We do experiential learning where you are actually trying out coaching strategies. We're going to have you experimenting with different ways to coach. We're going to have you stretch your existing skills in real coaching environments. You're going to learn by doing, and you're going to learn about yourself. Your personal development is the heart of the program because we know that the more you grow and expand, the more you can assist your clients in their growth and their expansion. You cannot guide someone to go farther with their fear or with building confidence or with growing as a person than you yourself have gone. So our program puts your personal growth and development at the heart of what we do. That is really important because we want you to not just become a coach, but to emerge feeling more confident, feeling like you have more resilience, more courage. Fourth, when choosing a program, question the idea of faster is better. I see online programs that are advertised all the time where they say things like, you can be a coach in only a weekend, or become a coach in just 2 months. So, question for you, is that the kind of therapist you would want to work with? A therapist who had had training over a weekend or just a couple months? No, probably not. Also, would that be something you'd be proud to put on your website? Would you want to put on your website, come work with me as a coach, I got trained in a weekend? Think about that. Now, of course, coaching is different than therapy. Therapists are definitely handling more complex mental health issues than what we would manage as coaches. However, when I use that example, again, just notice whether or not you would want a coach who had only had a weekend of training. I personally wouldn't. So what is an ideal training program length? Now, of course, there is no hard and fast rule for this, but something that is the better part of a year is ideal. That's something that gives you time to learn the skill set, to truly feel like you've got the experience under your belt, and to grow yourself. And to become an ICF credentialed coach at the ACC level, you have to accrue a certain number of coaching hours where you are the one in the coaching seat, coaching clients. It will take several months to accrue all of those hours for your ACC credential application. And one of the ways that our CLCC program prepares you for that is we start having you swap sessions while in the program so that you can start to accrue hours. So in our program, not only are you training as a coach and learning the skill set and regularly receiving feedback from us, and also growing as a person in your own personal life, looking at your own personal things that you would like to shift. You're also receiving coaching and conducting coaching sessions that are going to count towards your ACC. Many of our graduates, in fact, start taking on clients while they are still in coach training, and we give our CLCC program participants guidance on how they can set that up. In fact, some of our participants start making money off of coaching while they are still in training. Pretty big deal. We're really proud of this. So to wrap things up, first, find an ICF-accredited program that is truly accredited, and it is accredited at a level 1 or higher level, not a continuing education training. Next, find a program that isn't going to bait and switch you. You should not be charged to get the adequate level of training you need and only find that out later. You should not get extra charges just to get your training certification when you've fulfilled all the requirements. Ask questions about how often you'll receive feedback on your coaching, how many total hours of training are required, and whether or not you'll be upcharged for accredited training or for your verification certificate. Look for training where there's a cohort of people you'll be working with, not a bunch of people cycling in and out of weekend courses at random times. Look for a training program where your personal growth is part of the training, not just a training trying to pump out coaches as fast as possible. Look for a program that is experiential. Again, you in some kind of work environment have probably watched or stared at enough PowerPoints to be good for a lifetime. You don't need more of that. You need something experiential where you're truly diving into the work. In the next episode of the Craft of Coaching podcast, I'm going to be talking about how life coaches make money, getting into how to start a private practice, how to pull together the monetary aspect of this. So head to that episode next. And in the meantime, again, if you want to learn more about the craft of coaching, there are two things that you can do right now today. One is to become a subscriber. Head over to leadershipcoachtraining.com and get our guide to becoming a coach. By becoming a subscriber, you're also going to get first notification about when we open up a new training cohort, early bird discounts, things like that. And a request. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to offer a rating in iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening, because those ratings will help other people to learn more about this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we are looking forward to connecting with you even more as we roll out more episodes. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you. And again, thanks for listening.